everybody, what's going on today? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be going over part 3 of the how to allow less home runs post-patch in MLB The Show 19, okay? So part 1 was I went over starters and the starting pitchers that you should use in the different difficulties from All-Star to Hall of Fame. Part 2 was yesterday, and I went over relievers and how to effectively use relief pitchers. Today I'm going to be going over pitches. The types of pitches in the game. We're going to be going over the 12 primary pitches that you see in MLB The Show, and then we're going to go over where to locate those pitches in the zone specifically, so that you can make sure that you give up less home runs and get outs more effectively. So you guys do me a favor, as always, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe, and let me show you guys what I did yesterday. So not my finest moment yesterday. I got a little angry after I lost a game. It was the bottom of the 9th inning. I had bases loaded and 2 line drives directly back to back right to the third baseman that probably shouldn't have been catchable balls. It's neither here nor there. And threw my controller on the ground right in front of me. It bounced about 10 feet and hit the TV. The perfect bounce. Couldn't have planned it any other way. That was great. So I broke my TV yesterday. I have gotten a new one now, so I'm on the new one here for this video. But not my finest moment, to say the least. It was a bad day. I don't mind making fun of myself a little bit. It was a dumbass move. That's all I can say. And let's go ahead and get to the video now. I just wanted to show you guys that and kind of poke fun at myself a little bit because I don't have any problem doing that. So let's go ahead and get to pitches and where to throw them here in MLB The Show 19 to be most effective. All right, so the first pitch is going to be the four-seam fastball we're going to go over here. I'm using the 2 World Series teams with the Nationals and the Astros. Great game last night, by the way. But as you guys are probably aware, most pitches, actually all pitches in Major League Baseball, all different types of pitches, have specific locations in the zone that they are the most effective when thrown there. With the four-seam fastball in particular, it has probably the most amount of locations that you can throw it to be effective in a game. Post-patch, keeping the ball low in the zone is a pattern you're going to see here with me. That's how I found the pitches to be most effective and give up less home runs. So the four-seam fastball is a pitch that can be moved all around the zone. You just have to be a little careful when you raise it above belt high or at belt high or higher. Springer's a little bit tall here, so his is going to be at the top of the strike zone at the belt there. But low and in is very effective for the four-seamer. Low and away is very effective for the four-seamer. High and outside and high and in can occasionally be effective, but you don't want to throw them there too often, or when you're playing people with zone hitting, they're going to sit on those pitches and try to take advantage of what you're attempting to do there. So, but there's really no pitch that obviously you want to leave over the middle of the plate. But mostly hitting your corners and keeping it around the outer rim of the strike zone for each hitter is going to be the most important and effective way to get outs with this particular pitch for the four-seam fastball. So you see here I go up high and tight with this one to Springer, and he swings and misses that one. And then we're going to go high and away here with this one. You see me go low and in and low and away. You can go middle in and middle away as well from time to time. So, let's go ahead and jump to the next one here. And the next pitch is going to be the slider. All right, so the next pitch is going to be the slider that we're going to cover. And the slider in this game can be the most effective pitch that you throw, hands down to me. So there's a couple different ways you can approach the slider. If you watch this one here, I go low and in with it. That one can be a little dangerous because it has a tendency to kind of cut the break across the plate sometimes a little bit. And, hitters love to hit that inside low pitch and can drive it sometimes if you leave it too much over the plate. So the majority of the time you want to keep these low and away. For a right-handed hitter, you're going to keep them low and away. For a left-handed hitter, you want to keep them low and away as well. If you've got a left-handed batter up, you can also go low and in with them with a right-handed pitcher up because of the fact that you can hit that back door. So it looks like it's going to come across the, when they say that, when they refer to the back door slider, it's coming down on the back foot is how it appears to the hitter. So, so if you've got a left-handed hitter at the plate, you can throw it right here in this exact spot, and it will break across the plate. You probably want to aim the pitch just a bit off the inside of the plate. Not enough that you got to worry about hitting them with the pitch, but just enough that you can make them look like it's going to come over the plate, and then it breaks at that last moment. It's another reason why I like to use the view from the batter's box when I'm pitching, so I can see how to effectively use my break on pitches the most. I feel that this is the best way to judge your pitches better. So if you guys are using from the pitcher's mound, the broadcast view, that's fine if that's what you prefer. But this for me and this view is the most important and most effective one for me. But throwing these low and away to the right-handed hitter is going to make them chase after the ball. A lot of times they're going to be early. They're going to hit ground balls in the infield. You know, they're going to get the occasional hit, and they're going to occasionally still drive the ball. But you're much less likely to see that happen. You can go up to the middle of the zone just a little bit with the slider as long as you keep it away. I would never throw one inside and keep it in that middle section. So that's something that you definitely want to be careful with, in my opinion there. But it's a very effective pitch, and you can strike out quite a lot of hitters and make them look very foolish with this pitch in particular. So we're going to go and move on to the next one here, which is the changeup, okay? All right, so the changeup is another very important pitch here in the game, where I like to throw the changeups to find them most effective. And as you can see, this one I hung over the plate, so I'm not going to tell you to do that. That was the first pitch I threw of the changeups to Springer. It just didn't quite go where I aimed it. It's going to happen from time to time, so just make sure to keep them low in the zone. You can work them low and away on that lower outside corner. You can also work them low and inside on the low inside corner. Now, the circle change, the changeup, just your traditional changeup, the palm ball, all of those are going to be very similar pitches. I don't know of any pitchers off the top of my head as far as elite pitchers in the game that throw the actual palm ball as one of their pitch selections. But it is, and if you guys do, let me know in the comments. But you're going to throw them in the same spot. You're really going to want to find that low and away or the low and inside area of the zone. That one probably hung a little bit too much over the plate right there, as you can see. So, but low and away is the most effective for me. If you guys aren't aware, changeups induce ground balls, okay? Particular pitches have certain types of hits that they induce. So when you've got a runner on first base and you've got a slower runner at the plate, and you're really needing to turn that double play and get a couple outs and keep him off the bases, what you want to do is try to throw those low and outside changeups. A low and outside changeup is going to cause a hitter to be early. Their bat's going to be out in front of it. They're going to chop it into the ground more likely than not, and they're going to ground into double plays. So very important to throw pitches there when you've got a runner on first base, or when you're in a jam and you're needing to get that double play turned and get out of a sticky situation there in an inning. So, all right, we're going to throw this last one here, this last changeup. Then we're going to move on to cutters. So cutters are going to be the next pitch we cover. All right, so cutters can be a bit of a tricky pitch this year. They sometimes are very effective, and other times they are not as effective. I like to throw this one here with righties to right-handed hitters on the low and inside part of the plate, and with left-handed pitchers and left-handed hitters, you can throw this one here again in the same spot on the inside, lower inside part of the plate, because a lot of times if pitchers have a lot of break on the cutter, and depending on their arm angle, it'll look like it's going to be a ball, and then at the last moment it'll sneak inside the zone. But mostly if you're throwing a cutter to a right-handed hitter with a right-handed pitcher, you're going to want to keep the ball outside. Think of it as a hard slider. That's really the best way to look at the cutter. If you leave a cutter too much over the plate, though, it is going to get destroyed. So I kind of recommend throwing it a little bit more off the plate as opposed to on the plate to have more success with it, and trying to get someone to chase something inside. If you've got a right-handed pitcher up, like I do here with Scherzer, and you have a left-handed batter up, I recommend going about middle to low in with the cutter and aiming off of the strike zone just a little bit, because what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of broken bats, you're going to get a lot of pop-ups, and if you guys aren't aware, the cutter is a pitch, like I told you about the changeup induces ground balls, the cutter induces pop-ups and fly balls. So if you're needing, let's say you've got a runner on third base, there's one out in the inning, you're needing a pop-up, this one thankfully goes foul, but yeah, you're needing a pop-up to get out, or you want it shallow, but you don't really want them to be able to drive the ball and get a sac fly and get that runner in from third. A cutter is a good pitch to possibly go to, because they're more likely to pop it up in the infield, pop it up foul, get a broken bat hit, something like that for you, or a broken bat out. So that's what I recommend. But the next one we're going to cover here is going to be the curveball, okay? So we're going to go over the curve right here. And with the curveball, what I prefer to do, I don't throw a lot of curveballs in this year's game. For some reason, the curveball tends to hang a little bit. There's certain pitchers that I will throw the curveball with, but others that I just don't feel as confident throwing it with. So curveballs, if you do throw them though, you want to keep them low in the zone. Always. You never want to bring a curveball above that lower section of the strike zone. And really the curveball is most effectively used when you're aiming it below the strike zone and trying to get hitters to chase. Now, I know that there is the issue this year with pitches in the dirt and catchers not being able to field them and retrieve them properly. But it's, it is what it is. That's kind of why I don't like to throw them, is because of that issue. So these last couple I've hung over the plate. Springer probably should have hit them and driven them out of the ballpark. But if you keep them low in the zone, you can be very effective with them. There's certain pitchers that are amazing with their curveball. Tom Seaver has a great one. Clayton Kershaw has a great one. So you guys know which pitches are the most effective for certain pitchers. And if you have any questions about it, obviously ask me in the comments and provide me with the specific pitcher, and I'll try to help you out with that. But the curveball in itself is an effective pitch if thrown properly. If not in this year's game, and the way after the patch is, you're going to get a lot of home runs hit on you if you leave them over the plate. So I really recommend leaving them down in the zone. So the next pitch is going to be the two-seam fastball that we cover here after this one, and I'll show you guys right after this this last curve that we throw here with Scherzer. And it's a ground ball out to third base. He was out in front of it. So let's move on here to the two-seam. All right, so I made a little change here. Put in Steven Strasburg. He's got the two-seamer. And if you guys aren't aware, the two-seamer and the sinker are very similar pitches, all right? The two-seam fastball, where you want to keep it primarily so that it does induce ground balls, because that's what it's really meant to do. It's really a fastball with downward break, all right? So a two-seam fastball, same with the sinker. You want to keep them low and inside to righties with right-handed pitchers, and you want to keep them low and outside as well. These other places you can go with them, and the same with the sinker, which we'll cover here next, is going to be middle in, trying to jam hitters. And I don't really recommend with a right-handed pitcher coming middle in because it's going to come across the plate too much, and if they get enough bat on ball, it's gonna go into the seats. So you just want to be a little careful with that. But with a righty-righty matchup right here, as you see, I can go with that and kind of jam him and induce a pop-up, a shallow pop-up right there. So another thing is when you're in this jam where you're trying to get a double play, and maybe you're throwing the change up, but the guy keeps fouling them off, and you're not getting the out effectively, not getting the result that you want. You can work a low and in or low and away two-seamer to help induce that ground ball and that double play as well. So it's one that you want to be careful throwing. Like I said, if you leave it over too much of the plate, just like with the four-seam fastball, a lot of guys in this game just sit on fastballs the entire game, and that's how they end up hitting home runs on you. So if you notice that by paying attention to your feedback, your pitch feedback there, and how early or late a player is, you'll know where to go next. But the next one we'll cover is actually going to be the sinker here. All right, so we got the Anibal Sanchez here, and like I said, the sinker is going to be almost identical to the way that you throw the two-seamer. I do find that the sinker is more effective when it's actually a pitch that's in their repertoire as opposed to the two-seamer itself. Typically, it's going to have a little bit more break than the actual two-seamer is. But a sinker and a two-seamer are really almost identical pitches. So you want to do the same exact thing that you're going to do with the two-seamer. You're going to keep them low and away, low and in. You can occasionally work them middle in. You can do, I recommend if it's a short hitter with a smaller strike zone, that you can be effective throwing it in that high area of the zone, high and inside. And the reason for that is because it looks like, because of the break of the sinker, that it's going to be a ball high, and then at the last moment it sinks down into the strike zone. So obviously you want to be careful with doing that, because high pitches are going to put you in trouble if you leave them over too much of the plate, just like a lot of these pitches are. But if you're if you're finding that a guy's late on a lot of your fastballs, your sinkers, then you might be able to get away with it. But I do recommend doing that primarily when you have a smaller hitter batting with a smaller strike zone. It seems to be the most effective. So after this pitch, the next one we're going to cover is the splitter. Okay. All right, so this next one's going to be the splitter here, and Anibal Sanchez does throw a splitter. A lot of times you'll run into pitchers that throw maybe a splitter or a forkball, but don't throw a changeup. So what you need to know about that is the splitter and the forkball are really, and it is called a split-fingered fastball, but the splitter and the forkball are really just other versions of a changeup. So you want to throw them the same way that you would throw your changeups. All right, you want to stick with the low and in, the low and away. You never want to leave the ball above that bottom portion of the strike zone, because that's where it's going to be most effective. And a lot of times you want to aim your splitters, forkballs, a little bit lower than the zone. Like I'm aiming it right there on the line. It looks like Sanchez has a little bit of a tendency sometimes to throw it with pulse a little bit higher. But you guys have to learn how to judge your pitchers and where you aim to where they actually throw, because they are all just a little bit different. Some are higher, some are lower, some are left, some are right. But yeah, with Sanchez, somebody like this, I would recommend throwing it a little bit lower in the zone. And typically you want to aim it when you're online, probably about right there in the zone. You want to try to get them to chase on that pitch, because they're going to be more likely to hit a ground ball. But a splitter and forkball can effectively be used to get double plays the same way that a changeup can, keeping them low and away in the zone. So, but splitters and forkballs are great pitches this year. The Raleigh Fingers card throws a great forkball. The Lee Smith card throws a great forkball as well. And there's several pitchers in the game that throw very good splitters. Kirby Yates. So if you use them this way, you'll be very effective with them. So this next one we're going to cover is going to be the knuckle curve. All right, so the knuckle curve, I'm not going to spend a ton of time here on the knuckle curve and on the 12-6 curveball, because they are really one and the same. Your 12-6 and your knuckle curve are going to be your slower styled curveballs. And you're going to want to do the same exact thing with them that you do with the actual curveball. You're going to want to throw them low in the zone, very low in the zone. You're going to want to try to get people to chase with them, and you'll have more success throwing them there. As you can see here, I keep aiming them low and outside. I like to throw low and away to hitters with the majority of the pitches that I throw. But the one thing you want to be aware of doing that is, you don't want to, because you got to remember you're playing a lot of people that are on zone hitting. You don't want to keep hitting the exact same spot with every pitch every time, or they're just going to sit there and put their PCI in that spot. And eventually they're going to square one up, even if it's a good pitch, and probably not a pitch that should be hit for a home run. The way the game is after the patch, they're going to hit one. I mean, you can throw good pitches sometimes and they just still end up getting them. So you want to mix them around in the zone enough and move them back and forth so that they don't know where to just set the PCI and hold it there, okay? So be very consciously aware while you're pitching of that instance exactly. So I had to make a change here and go and play as the Astros to find a pitcher that threw the 12-6 curveball in practice mode. And the here we go. The 12-6 curveball, like I said, it's going to be the exact same as the knuckle curve, really. You're going to want to keep it low in the zone. It's going to have less horizontal break to it. It's going to have more vertical break to it, just by the name. 12-6 curveball. Think of a clock from 12 to 6. So that's exactly how you're going to want to throw it. You're going to have that downward arc to it, making the complete upward to downward movement of the pitch. So throwing them low and inside, throwing them low and outside are very effective. And yeah, so let's go ahead and move on here because the curveballs are pretty much the same to the slurve. Probably my favorite pitch to throw next to the slider, maybe more than the slider though in the entire game. Okay, the slurve can be very effective. Let's throw this last 12-6 curveball here real quick. There we go. We get the fly ball out on that one. All right, so here we go with the slurve. I put in Roberto Ozuna so we can throw the slurve here. To right-handed hitters, the slurve, oh my gosh, it can be deadly, man. The slider, like I said, is one of my favorite pitches, but the slurve, throwing it low and away, look at all these chases you can get here. I'm facing Trey Turner right now, and you know, it doesn't really matter who you're facing. On as far as right-handed hitters go, with a right-handed pitcher throwing the slurve, it's disgusting. You can work it to a right-handed hitter and a right-handed pitcher back on that inside part of the zone. If you guys are using Johnny Venters and you're facing lefties, you know, he's a lefty pitcher that throws the slurve, which is quite rare. You can work that inside part as well. But primarily, I like to keep the slurve low and away. You can move the slurve up to a right-handed hitter with a right-handed pitcher on the mound to that middle outside area of the zone. But be a little careful. You know, it could drape across the plate just a little bit too much. But the slurve is great for getting people to just look foolish and swing at pitches that tail away from the strike zone and from the plate quite effectively. So in my opinion, probably one of the deadliest pitches you can use in this year's game. And really every year it's been. The slurve is just an amazing pitch. There's more pitchers that have picked it up and started to throw it. You know, by the name alone, the slurve is a combo of the slider curveball. So that's where the name generates from, obviously. But it is a great pitch, very effective, and you can get a lot of outs with that pitch. So let's go ahead and move on here. We're going to throw this last one, then we're going to move on to the final pitch that I'm going to go over, which is the sweeping curve, which just is a hair different than some of the others here. We'll throw this last slurve right here. All right, so the last pitch I'm covering is going to be the sweeping curve, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's got more break to it. It is very similar to a slurve, but it is not as effective in my opinion. But what you want to do with the sweeping curve is you want to keep it in this low area of the zone, just like all the other curveballs. You want to keep it low as well. I know you guys are noticing a pattern by now with where I like to throw my pitches. But I am one of the better pitchers, I think, as far as ERA goes in the game. If you look, you know, I've been very effective with pitching. I rarely give up more than 3 to 4 runs a game. So it's you know, doing this method and keeping with this is very effective in being successful in the game, in my opinion. But yeah, keeping the sweeping curve where it functions really like a slurve or like a slider for you is going to be your best bet. But I like to throw them low and away. Now, for all of these pitches, the way I have shown them to you, when you're using a left-handed pitcher in the game, you want to throw them the exact same way to lefties that I'm throwing to righties. When you're using the lefty to righty combination, whatever you're wanting to throw, or excuse me, left-handed pitcher to right-handed pitchers, yeah. And then if you're using the right-handed pitcher to a left-handed hitter, just make sure that you're not leaving stuff over the plate. You don't want everything to break directly over the plate, all right? So we make this final out here, then we're going to do a quick little recap right now. All right, so I showed you guys 12 particular pitches there that we covered in this video. We covered the four-seam fastball, the slider, the changeup, the cutter, the curveball, the two-seam fastball, the sinker, the splitter. I kind of combined it with a forkball there because I didn't find pitchers that I was going through I had the forkball as an option. And then the knuckle curve, the 12-6 curve, the slurve, and the sweeping curve. So what I want you guys to take away from this is keep the ball low in the zone, okay? Another big, very important tip, don't be afraid to throw a ball. Don't be afraid to throw a ball outside of the zone to try to get somebody to chase. First of all, you never know when they're gonna, okay? Even if a guy seems like he's had a good eye all game, you just never know on 2 strikes what they might think is a little closer to the plate than what you're throwing. And if you've got a guy 0-2, don't throw the ball in the zone. Throw balls. Throw them outside the zone, okay? Don't give them anything to hit. just remember you've got 4 more pitches to work with if you got a guy 0-2. So, you know, make sure to be aware of that. Make sure to mix up your patterns so you're not developing patterns throughout the game, because guys will pay attention to that and try to learn the patterns or think where the next pitch is going to go, and they'll just set that PCI there, and you know, it is what it is. So be very careful about that. I hope this video has helped you guys out. I hope this 3-part series has helped you guys out. You know, if you have any questions at all, as always, make sure to ask me in the comments of the video. You guys know I respond to every single comment. So if you need individual help with anything in particular, just let me know, man. I'm always here. I'm always here to help you guys. And that's what I enjoy doing the most. So you guys do me a favor, as always, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe. Make sure to get those comments in for the entries into the Adrian Beltre autograph giveaway with the Al Kaline as the 2nd place card. Remember, when we get to 1,000 subs, I'll be giving those cards away. And that Beltre card, again, I know I keep beating the dead horse here, but it is worth over $300 value on that card. So it's going to make somebody very happy, and you guys can pop it on eBay and sell it if you want, man. Make $300. I don't mind. That's fine with me. So just hope you guys enjoy these giveaways, and it's my way of saying thank you to y'all for being awesome throughout the year. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.